The Department of Homeland Security tells CNN there is no hunger strike at so-called Alligator Alcatraz, that migrant detention facility in South Florida. The department is responding to allegations from those who have been monitoring the conditions there. Thomas Kennedy is a policy analyst with the Florida Immigrant Coalition. Thank you so much for being with us. DHS says there's no hunger strike. You say there is one. What do you say is happening inside Alligator Alcatraz?
Opportunity to come here and tell the truth. I mean, it's not that I'm saying that there is one. It's the family members and the detainees themselves that are telling us that they've been in on 12 days of hunger strike now. And I think you guys have the videos that I've been sharing on social media, that we've been sharing on social media, of nonstop ambulances going in and out of the facility for the last 3 days because people are being hospitalized due to the bad conditions and possibly because of this hunger strike that's happening inside. But DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, once again proving itself to be an untrustworthy institution that's willing to lie to cover up what's happening in these detention centers.
Yeah, we just showed some video that you gave us of ambulances leaving the facility. Do you know, or what do you know for sure about the people who were in those ambulances?
It's difficult because the Miami Herald, the paper of record here in Miami-Dade County, actually was able to confirm one hospitalization through HCA Florida a couple of weeks ago. Ever since then, hospitals have gone radio silent. I mean, journalists and organizations like ours can neither confirm nor deny through reaching out to healthcare institutions in the state. And that's because in the state of Florida, as most objective people know, institutions are captive to the power and influence of or overreaching and aggressive state government. But we can see with our very own eyes that these ambulances are going in and out, and then we hear from the family members and the detainees themselves that call their family members that people are being hospitalized and that they are engaging in this hunger strike, which, by the way, they're punished for all the time.
Again, and just let me read the statement, the full statement from DHS here, so you know what they're saying. Again, about the idea of a hunger strike, they say false. There is no hunger strike at Alligator Alcatraz. For the record, during hunger strikes, ICE continues to provide 3 meals a day delivered to the detained aliens' room and an adequate supply of drinking water and other beverages. So they continue to say no, although they say no, but if there were one, we would do this.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is coming from the same administration that just fired a civil servant for being honest about a jobs report in this country, right? So again, just like in the state of Florida, all of these are captive institutions serving the whims of one man, the President of the United States. I hate getting political and partisan like that, but that is the truth. And these institutions, like DHS, are willing to lie to cover up the truth. But the videos don't lie. The family members, the detainees themselves don't lie. They're telling us that they're engaging in this form of protest. And we see with our very own eyes throughout the whole weekend, ambulances going in and out of the facility. I mean, what I shared on social media, I have timestamps that show that every 2-3 hours, ambulances are going in and out of the facility. So why doesn't DHS explain that? What are these ambulances going in and out of the facility for?
How are you going to find out what's happening there? How can anyone find out what's happening inside?
It's a great question. We are going to keep documenting and advocating against this facility until it's closed down. I can tell you that the ACLU and other organizations are engaged in litigation against the site because they're not allowed to go in to meet with their clients. And in fact, there was a hearing last Monday on federal court here in Miami where the lawyers, their argument was that they don't even know who has jurisdiction over the site. They don't know which immigration court, which jurisdiction to present their cases. And 2 U.S. Circuit judges ordered the state of Florida to present the federal legal agreement, meaning a 287G agreement, that gives them authority to detain immigrants at the state level because it's a state-managed detention center. And the state of Florida refuses to present those legal agreements.
Thomas Kennedy, we appreciate you being with us this morning. Thank you.
At least a dozen detainees at the Florida immigration facility dubbed Alligator Alcatraz have reportedly been on a hunger strike for the last 12 days now. An immigrant rights advocate tells CNN the detainees are protesting what they describe as deplorable conditions inside the tent facility that opened last month, as well as alleged mistreatment by guards. Rafael Romo is here with the very latest. So you spoke with that official from the Florida Immigrant Coalition, and what was said?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, first of all, that access to the migrant detention center is heavily restricted, Fred. Even attorneys for those detained at the tent facility are complaining it has been nearly impossible to meet with their clients. But an immigrant rights advocate who has been monitoring conditions at the migrant detention center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz by Florida and federal officials say at least a dozen detainees have been on a hunger strike for the last 12 days to protest conditions at the facility that opened last month in the Everglades. Why did detainees decide to go on a hunger strike, you may ask? Well, this is what Thomas Kennedy, a spokesman with the Florida Immigrant Coalition, had to say about their decision.
Where a number of individuals detained there have refused to eat to protest, again, the deplorable conditions that they find themselves in, including lack of adequate food, having to clean up fecal matter from the toilets due to lack of water pressure, lack of water in general, mistreatment by the guards, water intrusion when it rains due to flooding.
And Fred, immigrant advocates like Kennedy say they know what's happening because detainees have told them when they have access to a phone, which usually happens once a day. We reached out to both the Florida Division of Emergency Management, which runs the facility, and the Department of Homeland Security for comment. In a statement, a senior DHS official called the information false, calling reports of the hunger strike unsubstantiated, inaccurate allegations. The statement also says that for the record, during hunger strikes, ICE continues to provide 3 meals a day delivered to the detained aliens' room and an adequate supply of drinking water or other beverages, ensuring the safety, security, and well-being of individuals in our custody is a top priority at ICE. In addition to what has been described by activists and Florida Democratic leaders as deplorable conditions at Alligator Alcatraz, attorneys for those detained are still facing obstacles when it comes to getting access to their clients held at the migrant detention center.
I'm actually very concerned, not just for the aggravating conditions that the detainees are subjected to, but also the constitutional and due process that's being denied to these detainees and their families.
And finally, Fred, we specifically asked officials at both the state and federal level for a reaction to this allegation, but it was not specifically addressed in the statement we received from a senior DHS official. But again, many questions regarding access to those detainees.
Yeah, lots of complaints, just been a month now. And then a lot of those detainees still say they haven't had a chance to reach out or contact with attorneys.
Right, and it opened exactly a month ago today. And think about it. Normally, it's a matter of days before they can see an attorney. It's been a whole month.
Wow. All right. Let us know more as you learn it. Rafael Romo, thanks so much.